Last Dance documentary last night, episode 5, kicked off with a tribute to the late Kobe Bryant, who in many ways came closer to a Jordan-like run than anyone we've seen since MJ. It goes into the shoe business and Michael Jordan's duel with Clyde Drexler, won back-to-back championships early in the Bulls' run. The Dream Team takes center stage for a while. Toni Kukoc finally gets some love. In episode 6, the documentary finally tackles the elephant in the room with Jordan's gambling habits. We'll talk more about it, but here is Jason Heyer, who is the producer of the documentary, talking about that sit down with Kobe Bryant and how difficult it was to get those good sound bites.
He came onto the set, and he hadn't even sat down yet, and he was like, "All right, let's go." Like this was like it was going to be tip off. It wasn't that we were rolling camera; it's that we were throwing a ball up to play. Go to 11s by 1s and 2s. So it felt immediately like a game. And then to sit there and discuss with him, I mean, he's going to hold things close to the vest, and he's not going to give up his love or reverence for MJ that easily, because I'm sure in his mind he's just as much of the GOAT as MJ or LeBron or anyone else that you want to bring up.
Charles Barkley joined.
That's kind of interesting because the sound bites that they end up playing, it felt like Kobe was pretty referential to MJ in terms of, I know that Kobe definitely had the confidence and thinks of himself as maybe the best or one of the best of all time, as he should. But hearing him say, like, without him, there is no me, and everything that, how much of his game he took directly from Jordan, I thought it was just really telling as to the impact that MJ had on a young Kobe.
Charles Barkley joined SVP following last night's documentary and told some stories on MJ.
Hey, Scott, I got to tell you something funny. So every night, not one night, not 2 nights, not 10 nights, me, Magic, Scotty, and Magic play cards every single night. But Michael tried to buy the pot every single night. It was really awesome. Like, first of all, we don't have as much, me and Scotty don't have as much money as Michael and Magic. But we knew that no matter what the cards were, at the end of the night, or like 3 or 4 times a night, Michael was always going to try to buy the pot.
NFL news.
If you got the money, dude, you got the big stack, flex on him.
Coming out of the weekend, Cam Jordan was speaking on NFL.com about going up against Tampa Bay and Tom Brady twice a year.
The entire NFC South. To think what Atlanta has at its hands. They signed Todd Gurley. They hire a new D-line coach. They bring in practically an entire new D-line, minus, of course, Grady. Then you have, Julio, Calvin Ridley, Matt Ryan still at helm. You go over to Panthers. They bring in Teddy Bridgewater. They sign Robbie Anderson. The defense has been pretty star-studded this entire time. Even with Kuechly retiring, they've still been quite sure of themselves. Then you go down to Tampa Brady, Tampa Bay,
that's how it's pronounced,
whatever you want to call it. And now Tampa, exactly, whatever you want to call him, Tom Brady. Then blows on a conch shell and Gronkowski magically comes out of retirement. So now you've got, Cameron Brate, Gronkowski, O.J. Howard at tight end, and you still have 2,000-yard receivers and Mike Evans and Godwin.
Breakdown by Cam Jordan. He goes on to talk about Tom Brady getting rid of the ball quickly. He's only got 1 sack on him in 3 games. The NFC South, I believe, it's between them and the NFC West next year for who is the best division in football.
Andy Dalton, who was released by the Cincinnati Bengals on Thursday, agreed to a 1-year deal with the Dallas Cowboys over the weekend. That was announced on Saturday. The quarterback's deal is a base value of $3 million. It can be worth up to $7 million. That was according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. We'll react to this coming up on OTB. The Jacksonville Jaguars have declined the 5th-year option on running back Leonard Fournette for the 2021 season. Fournette will make just over $4 million in 2020 and become a free agent unless the team changes its mind and uses the franchise tag. Fournette's coming off of his best season as a pro, rushing for over 1,100 yards and totaling 1,600 yards total from scrimmage. He led the Jaguars with 76 receptions, only had 3 touchdowns last season. 4-star defensive end outside linebacker Xavier Carter announced on Friday that he was committing to LSU. Carter is a 6'5", 200-pound prospect from Atlanta, Georgia. He chose the Tigers over Alabama, Georgia, Notre Dame, Tennessee, and Oklahoma. Carter is rated the number 8 weak side defensive end in the country. LSU now has 8 verbal commitments for the class of 2021. Greg Sankey.
Well, I'm just going to say, what jumps out to me, it's 8 verbal commitments. It's a lot of guys in that top 200, top 300, top 100, but almost all out of state. The national brand of LSU, like they're doing a good job of getting their Louisiana targets. That'll continue. But I think 7 of the 8 might be from out of state at this point, and it just shows that they're doing a good job of taking advantage of the brand while it's on everybody's mind.
Greg Sankey jumped on with Dan Patrick late last week and was talking about the college football season and what they anticipate in some of the meetings coming up on decisions to be made.
There's the conversation, are there? Sure. Is that the focus? No, the focus is on preparing to play as scheduled Labor Day weekend. I think that's an important message publicly. I think it's important for our student athletes to hear from me that we're focused on that preparation. Now, whether or not we can make that happen, that's going to be up to the circumstances around the virus.
One more from Sankey on with Dan Patrick late last week, talking about the possibility of no seats in the stands or no fans in the stands.
Not something I have to decide right now, and not high on my priority list for thinking about. Now, whether the fan patterns look different, that's another question. That again, we've learned a lot in the last 30 to 45 days. We're going to learn a lot more in the next 45 days, and we've got a little over 100 days to the start of what would be football season as scheduled, and that'll guide how we make those decisions.
A little over 100 days does not feel long at all. Kind of puts into perspective how close football season really is. I don't know. Sankey's kind of been a little irascible during this whole thing. I feel like he's just we'll see where it ends up going. I mean that's how it's constantly shifting. We don't know. Well, let's see what ends up being decided here in a couple months.